Will he be a Hall of Famer? Should he be a Hall of Famer? All those questions and some more and some other topics regarding Eli. So buckle up. I hope you enjoy this. Let's do it.
VonAllen Sports.
Should Eli have retired?
I think he should have. There's nothing more for him to do. I mean, he's getting much older. I mean, if he would have stayed there for another, 1 or 2 years, what good would that have done? I mean, that would have stunted the growth of Daniel Jones and a lot of other things. So, yeah, he should have retired. There's nothing else more for him to do.
The Giants weren't going to bring him back, were they?
I don't think they were, no. I don't know if a team wants to get him. I mean, the only reason they would is because of his last name, not his first name. I mean, he's a man because I think he's lucky to have the Manning last name, because that has pretty much been a whole catalyst for his entire career.
I don't know what team would want it. The guy's got a 500 record in 5 of the last 6 seasons, not counting this season. He's been the starting quarterback for a losing team. I know he had 2 Super Bowls, but those were flukes. And you look at his overall career, what he's most known for is leading the league in interceptions. The other thing with Eli is that he always demands the biggest contract possible. And when you look at what you're getting with him, there's no reason to give him the kind of money he would demand from a team. So there's no way for him to go other than just to retire as a quarterback who won 2 Super Bowls and played his entire career with one team, which is admirable.
Why didn't he just wait?
I've heard rumors that he's got a front office gig lined up with the Giants. So maybe they're just looking to accelerate that and promote him or assign him to a front office, maybe like vice president of player personnel or something.
What do you think, Aaron?
Unless his agent has called every team that needs a quarterback and everyone has already said no, then maybe. But if I was Eli, I definitely wouldn't retire yet. I would wait. At least till training camp starts. Wait till after the draft. Maybe even wait until preseason's even started. Because why make a decision right now? That's what I don't understand.
He's a Manning. And if anything the Mannings are known for, it's for being showmen. And what's the biggest week to be doing that in? The week before the Super Bowl.
So
why
that's
not?
Why you think
Nobody could give a crap about the Pro Bowl. Like, come on.
Right.
So you think it's more of a publicity thing, picking the right moment where he's going to get the most attention and all that. Let's get down to business. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer? Jarrod, would you like to take first?
It's a difficult question to answer, honestly, because there is the career Eli Manning has had, and there is the popularity he has in the media. And of course, as we've seen as of recent, your career doesn't matter as much as your popularity. So do I think he'll get into the Hall of Fame as the first ballot? Yeah. Do I think he should be? No. He's had a perfectly average career. At the end of this year, he had a 500 record as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's 8-4 in his career in the playoffs, and those 8 wins came in 2 seasons. Every other year, he's been one and done. So is he an elite quarterback that should get in the Hall of Fame? No, absolutely not. His biggest play of his career should have been blown dead. He was held by the defensive line of the New England Patriots for 3 seconds.
They got a hold of me, but I'm kind of in a little panic. I think this is good, but they just never pulled me down.
His forward progress was stopped.
I would eliminate people. So I would remove guys like Joe Namath, for example. I would remove guys like Dan Fouts. Basically, what Jarrod just described with Eli, that's Namath of his era. He had the one game that was the one Super Bowl that gave the AFL a victory and it became famous and everything. Yeah. But his career collectively is not deserving. He got in, like Jarrod said, he got in on fame and his name, and he was a New York Jets quarterback. Well, what city does Eli play in, right? So my problem is the qualifications for the Hall of Fame.
All 48 members are pretty much journalists, or
these journalists are idiots and they hold bias. Okay, look how long Terrell Owens had to get into the Hall of Fame, and he even admitted it, and other people have actually confirmed that. That's how much power these people have. It's not fair. Yeah. Terrell Owens is a first ballot Hall of Famer without even thinking about it. It's absolutely stupid to even debate it as far as I'm concerned. But that's the kind of power these idiots have. And that's why I think that it should be NFL people that are affiliated with the NFL.
We got to drain the swamp first, fix the criteria, and then we'll get it right.
But if you look at Joe Namath's career, it doesn't say Hall of Famer.
No.
Some of the voters, they say they're going to vote Eli in, and they use this argument. Well, we've got quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame who have not done as much as Eli, and they're in. Okay, wait a minute. If we use this logic forever, that means we're going to keep putting in subpar people over and over just because it happened in the past. Does that make any sense?
No.
Does it? I mean,
No.
this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But here's how to fix that problem. How about we judge if you're a Hall of Famer based on you and your peers? What were you with the guys you were playing with? That way, because if you compare him to Joe Namath, it's not fair. You compare him to Bradshaw, it's not fair. Okay?
Right.
So that's different. That's a different thing completely. But let's compare him to Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, two of the guys who was in his draft class. Let's compare him to Brady, Breeze, Manning, Rodgers. Okay? Now, does he hold up?
No.
Right.
No.
And you're right. When you look at his career compared to quarterbacks in the 80s, people weren't throwing for 4,000 yards back then unless you're Dan Marino. Eli has multiple 4,000 yards passing. Great. So do half the quarterbacks playing in the NFL in the 2000s.
That's why I don't care about bulk stats. So, Jarrod, you're saying he will make it, but you don't think he deserves it.
The reality is he's getting it. I don't agree with that, but I know that the way the NFL is geared now, A, like Shaq said, he's a Manning.
Yeah.
B, well, being a Manning means you're football royalty. And he's won 2 Super Bowls. And he's 2-0 against Brady. When Eli beat Brady, that was upholding the NFL royalty family legacy. So the media, and it was New York versus Boston. So
it's not like Eli lit the box score on fire or anything.
It's the defense of the Giants in 2007 that won that game. Yeah, credit is not being doled out, and I think that has a lot to do with just misremembering, because there are a lot of people who are just relitigating this, and they're not remembering how good that Giants defense was. They just want to say, "Oh, Eli over Brady," because it sounds good. But I just want to go back to what Aaron was saying about the media runs the Hall of Fame, and it's that bad. And I want to go back to the tweet that I was talking about with Peter King. Kudos to an all-time clutch player and one of the classiest athletes of this century. The Giants in pro football will miss Eli Manning. Now, just chew on that tweet for a second. One of the classiest athletes this century. Now, luckily for us, this century is only 20 years old, so there's not a lot of time you could be judging it on. But I just think it's very interesting how a guy who forced his way out of a team that he was drafted to before playing a game, and a guy who finished with a 500 record, which is not winning and it's not losing, it's just in the middle. It's literally the definition of 500 is in the middle.
Yeah, it's average.
It's average, but yet he's classy and he's nice and he's good, because that's what it matters. The media, it matters how you treat people in the media. Unless you're Tom Brady, of course, because you can treat the media wonderfully if you're Tom Brady, as he has for 20 years, and still get crapped on by the same media. But
and by your own media.
Yeah.
Right.
But see the problem with Tom Brady is he wasn't supposed. He is what Peyton and Eli and all these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
What these media people wanted them to be.
He stole it. He stole their legacy. He stole their story. He stole their careers. He stole everything.
I know, Aaron, that you're a fan of Peyton, but the way you talk about Aaron Rodgers is the same way I feel about Peyton Manning. I was so tired of everybody praising Peyton Manning and belittling Tom Brady for years. Now, when Peyton Manning was getting drafted, and it was the Ryan Leaf Peyton Manning debate, I was a junior in high school. And I defended Peyton Manning. I thought he was going to be a good NFL quarterback. And I liked him his first few years. But it was when he became so entitled and the media just came to his defense and coddled him and put him on a pedestal that was undeserved, earned. That pissed me off. And as much as Peyton Manning was coddled, Eli Manning was more so. Now, I come from the same generation y'all do, where Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann on SportsCenter, that was the show. That's where you learned whatever you need to learn to talk about sports before school. So, Dan Patrick, I loved him. I thought he was great. He's become too much of a celebrity now. But he had a show right after the 30 for 30 on the 1983 draft. And in that show, he said that John Elway came off looking worse than Eli. Nobody in the history of the NFL draft has ever come across worse than Eli Manning. The guy was a complete pansy. Everybody in the NFL goes to the team that drafts them. Except for John Elway. The way the media treated Eli from the very beginning was embarrassing. He was football royalty before he even took a snap in the NFL.
I just want to know, why does John Elway get a pass for telling the Colts that he won't play for them or he'll go play baseball, but Eli doesn't get a pass for that? I'm just curious.
From my perspective?
Yeah.
I don't mean to give John Elway a pass. I just mean to say that Eli, I don't know how Dan Patrick can say John Elway came across looking worse than Eli Manning. That whole saga was ridiculous. Yeah, John Elway had another option. Like, he could have gone to play baseball with the Yankees. Mm-hmm. So, Eli, it was just pure, I don't want to play for you. What are you going to do? With John Elway, it was, well, either don't draft me or I'm going to go do this. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Not to say that John Elway didn't come across looking like a douche, because he did. But the other thing is, I've always been a fan of the draft. That's my favorite sporting event of the year. Not so much now, because it's not what it used to be. But as much as influence as the media has on people getting into the Hall of Fame, the media has a lot of influence on where players go in the first round now. It's not so much what the team is looking for, as so much as what the media wants to make the big player, the big name. In 2004, for whatever reason, I had been an NFL prospect. That would have been the class I would have gone in. Those were my peers. Those were my friends. Aaron, this. Tommy Harris is one of my friends from high school. That was the draft he got drafted in. Right. So I was paying a lot of attention to that draft. And it wasn't that day. It was the whole process. From the time Eli announced that he was going into the draft, which I think he was just – I don't think he left early. I think he was just draft eligible. But from that whole time on, I never thought he deserved to be the top overall pick anyway. Ben Roethlisberger was a better prospect. Not that I'm a big Ben Roethlisberger fan, but he was a better prospect at that time. Vince Wilfork, Tommy Harris. Those were guys who could make an impact immediately for a team that they were playing on.
The exact words they used, one of the reasons why he went number one, is they said pedigree. Pedigree is a nice way of saying he's a Manning, right, or a fancy way of saying he's a Manning, right?
Yeah, he's football wilt.
Okay, but I just want to say something, Jarrod. That wasn't Eli that did that. That was Archie Manning that did that. Okay,
I agree.
Eli, if you watch it again, Eli is innocent, man. He's standing there. He's confused. He doesn't know what to say. They asked him. They said, "Do you have anything to say? Would you play for the Chargers?" And he's like, we've made all our comments. My dad is, he's going over this. I think we've already answered all those questions, and basically what he means is, my dad already told you.
Just prior to the draft, we heard that there was a decision made by, I believe, Archie Manning that he didn't want Eli to come to San Diego.
Right.
Okay, he had no choice in the matter.
And he didn't have a choice in the matter, but that's the other thing I have against him. He never stood up for himself. He always had that face his whole career of just, my mom's I'm gonna tell my mommy on you. And it drove me crazy. And that picture of him in the booth when his brother won a second Super Bowl just sums up his entire career to me. It's like, well, crap, now I've got nothing on Peyton.
You think that's what that was?
Oh, yeah.
You don't think it was nervousness? Like he was focused on the game?
No.
You think that was
disgust? It was, well, dang, now Peyton has as many Super Bowl rings as I do. I know it's pure sibling rivalry.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What do you think, Shaq? What do you think about that photo?
It's interesting because I kind of just felt like that's the way he always looks. He kind of always looks like
It's
that.
the
like,
Eli face. Yeah.
Am I here? I don't know what's going on. You know, he's kind of always has that face to me. I don't think I mean, if that's the one consistent thing he's always had that face.
What was your brother Eli? What was the what was going through his mind? Everyone, we did it. Yeah, he's like, I mean, death stare into the camera.
I honestly. Eli and I have always supported each other. I think Eli was analyzing the game and kind of into the game like I would be, as if he was playing it. And so he was just as happy. But it's funny, when I saw that clip, Jimmy, I've seen that look before. I recognized it.
It's cut out here of that. So just so you can feel that. So you can actually talk to him.
I can remember 18 years ago, like calling the night before the draft, said, Eli, guess what? The Colts are going to draft me #1 in the NFL draft tomorrow. Years ago, Eli, Ashley and I are expecting twins. You're going to be an uncle. Yeah, and then like 4 years ago, coming off this, I was like, Eli, guess what? My neck is finally healed. I'm going to play football again.
Wow. The big moment. I mean, it's just all the big moments in your life. He's always there for you. That's what a brother is for.
Right. That's exactly right.
But you saw the video of him and Peyton when Peyton was doing his comeback tour or whatever, and he was constantly eating chips too loud and rattling the bag just to get on his brother's nerves.
Yeah.
Peyton's been the golden child his whole life. He finally had some fair hair to say, haha, Peyton, I've got 2 rings, you don't. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, now I've got nothing on him.
But you hold that against him for feeling that way?
Yeah, I think that he's never been his own man.
Okay, there's a part where Peyton Manning is showing. He has an entire 30-minute episode, Peyton's Places, right? Where Peyton, and it's all about the Mannings, all about family. They show Cooper and Peyton's childhood videos, and it's all them in football uniforms and playing and doing all this cute stuff and all these great football moves and stuff. And then they come to Eli, and you know what they show? You know what Peyton pulled up? Peyton only played Eli dressed in what looks like girls' clothing. Like his mother had because Eli was the baby, I guess. He was the youngest. Right. So she always dressed him in these fancy new clothes that were in fashion in the early 80s. They didn't show one clip of Eli playing football or looking like a boy or anything like that. That was a straight up just like, that's basically a microcosm of Eli's childhood. And the fact that he's like 5-6 years younger than Peyton and then 7 years younger than Cooper, I know what that feels like, okay? I'm 5 years apart from one of my brothers, and I'm 6.5 from the other one. So that's a big difference. My dad took my brothers onto the tennis court every day with them and made them almost pro-level players. They could have gone pro if they had, more professional coaching, but that's a different conversation. But the point is, he was always out there with them every day. I wanted to be a tennis player.
Peyton went to Tennessee. He didn't go to Ole Miss like Daddy did. Eli, I think his whole career was just obsessed with Peyton.
I guess I'm biased because I know what it's like to be the little brother.
Sure.
And what's funny is that I'm the same age distance from my 2 brothers as Eli is from his.
Sure. Because
Cooper and Peyton were right together, and they were playing high school football together. And then Eli comes along much later on. And even Peyton admitted that he doesn't have the relationship with Eli that he does with Cooper because of the age differences. And
right. And Cooper was Eli's receiver in high school, right?
Right. He was Peyton's receiver. So they played together, just like my brothers played tennis together, but never wanted to play with me. That sucks. I can tell you that. That absolutely sucks. Me and my brother, we started getting into Taekwondo. And I started winning a lot of trophies and doing really well. And I was really proud of that, Well, I wanted my brother's approval. So I wanted them to say, Aaron, you're awesome, dude. The only thing I was thinking was he watching? What does he think? There was one time in a match where I was losing 4-1, And I remember before that, Jason was coaching me and telling me what to do, just like Peyton does with Eli, same thing. And I was down 4-1. And I thought, okay, I'm going to lose this match. It's going to be over. Jason doesn't even know about this. I've never told him. That was the only reason why I wanted to win. If I was an only child, I might have just taken the loss. But I didn't, and I came back and I beat that dude. But my only driving force was the approval of my brothers. So I guess from that standpoint, I kind of understand Eli. I don't know.
Sure.
It's just, did you ever feel any competition with Vesela? She's your little sister.
Yeah, I guess not so much in sports. Our difference is also about 6 years. When I was a kid, I did all kinds of sports. My parents are both coming from a background where my mom was a professional basketball player. She was in the national team of the for young girls. My dad was a professional swimmer, so he won several medals when he was young before me. And so they always pushed me into all kinds of sports or signed me up. So I did, from swimming to skiing, gymnastics. In any event, I did windsurfing was my favorite sport. I did a lot of that on my own. But my sister was not that much into sports.
Eli, in a lot of people's eyes, kind of went above Peyton temporarily because of those 2 Super Bowl rings. In this example, you're Peyton, I'm Eli, and I want to know, would you be happy for him, realistically, or would there be something there, a kind of resentment or like you need to do better?
Personally, I will be happy, and I have been happy when I see things. Mr. A, thanks for joining. So what do you think? Should Eli Manning retire?
Yes, 100%. Should have been retired. He has 2 lucky Super Bowl wins against Tom Brady, which I hate. Should never won those 2 rings, but whatever. But he has, besides those 2 lucky seasons, he's been inconsistent, multiple interceptions. The one year his team was a 14-2, and then they lost to the Eagles in the playoffs. So he really hasn't done anything. I think a lot of his popularity is off his brother. So people look at Peyton Manning, and they look at his career, and his brother been riding his coattail. So they give him the benefit of the doubt. Even if he has multiple losing seasons, they still say, oh, it's Eli Manning, that last name Manning. So I think he got a free pass.
That's so interesting, because you're just joining and you're saying the same thing as a lot of our other participants are saying, that the Manning name is...
I feel like a bobblehead, Mr. A.
Right. Yeah, I mean, think about it. His Peyton Manning, he lives up to expectations, although he should have won more. But then you get to Eli Manning, and it was the defense that carried him on the first one. New York loves him because that's the only championships they'll ever see for the next millennium. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can say. I'm not surprised, but, just wasting a roster space.
So a lot of the things you said are leading into the next question, which you partly answered probably, which is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
No. Nope. No. But they're probably going to put him in there because of that last name, Manning. The Manning family, they're going to give him a pass, and they're probably going to put him in and label him as a Hall of Famer.
What about first ballot?
That's what No. I don't think he deserves to be in there. No.
I'm asking you. You think he's going to get in? I'm asking, do you think they'll put him in first time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they will. They will, because of that name.
But Jarrod, what did you want to say?
Well, I had a question for Aaron. We're both, and I think Shaq and LeVar, Mr. A, are the same way, surprised that the NFL just came out and brought Jimmy Johnson in to the Hall of Fame. Do you think that that's partly to show that 2 Super Bowls get you in so that it's an easier argument for Manning?
No, I don't think they're connected. No, I don't think anyone was thinking that. I just think it's too easy to get into the Hall of Fame now. I just wanted to ask you guys a question. Do you think Eli deserved to be Super Bowl MVP on either of them?
No. No.
Neither
Nope.
one.
No.
So he had nothing to do.
there's
He had
nothing-
nothing. He had no effect on those Super Bowl wins. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, obviously the only effect he had was he made the throws that are repeated in highlights every which way. The obviously the David Tyree, it was David Tyree and having a sticky helmet. The second Super Bowl, I will admit that was a perfect pass. Yeah, that pass is an indefensible pass. So I will give him credit for that. For that to mean that he deserves Super Bowl MVP, absolutely not. He definitely doesn't deserve it for the first one because, again, it was the Giants' defense that kept the unbelievable 2007 Patriots offense to 14 points. That was the Giants' defense that did that. And in the second Super Bowl, I would say it was more the Patriots making mistakes like the stupid safety and the Hail Mary and Gronk not being 100% and a whole lot of other factors. That was the catalyst to that. I don't think it was Eli's doing at all for either Super Bowl.
Then why didn't Tom Brady get the MVP last year then if Eli got it for Super Bowl 42? Same situation, isn't it? Tom made one good throw to win the game, and Eli made one good throw to win the game. How come Tom didn't get MVP?
Right. Good question.
Because his name's not Manning? I mean, I'm confused.
Well, again, because I think the defense was a big part in that game as well. Not to say that Tom Brady wasn't a big part of that. Obviously, he made the biggest play in that game, but I think it was really the Patriots defense that was, it was the wow factor. It was what people noticed the most.
That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna give Eli the MVP for Super Bowl 42, then Tom should have gotten MVP for Super Bowl 53. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
even though I don't agree. Right.
For getting into the Hall of Fame, you had to make a major impact to the game and maintain that for extended period of time.
Exactly.
But I don't think that applies as much to Eli Manning, although I think he will get into the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. In order to be judged for the Hall of Fame, you should be judged based on how you were in your era, not against somebody who got in 40 years ago, right? I have Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, Eli, and Peyton as his era completion percentage. All those guys are 63, almost 64 and over. And Eli is at 60. He's barely over 60. He's almost at 59. His quarterback rating, look at this. The worst quarterback rating out of all of these guys is 94. Eli falls all the way down to 84. A career passer rating of 84 in this modern passing game, that's kind of hard to defend, guys.
Mm-hmm.
His playoffs per game, out of all those guys I mentioned, are the worst. The fifth guy in the yards per playoff game is Ben Roethlisberger at 250 yards per game. Eli drops down all the way to 234. Drew and Tom are the highest. Eli is fifth in the touchdown per game. How can you explain this away? So even in his so-called big playoff runs, like everyone gives him credit for those playoff runs, right? Because in 2007 he went into Lambeau. They went into Lambeau and they defeated Brett Favre's Packers and then defeated the Patriots. And then in 2011 they went into Lambeau and beat Aaron Rodgers' Packers and then went on to beat the Patriots again, right? Even with those playoff games, he's still not as good as those other five guys. So by putting Eli into the Hall of Fame, you're saying that he belongs with Brady and Peyton?
No, he beat the Patriots twice. The evil, unconscionable Patriots. So writers might vote him in tomorrow. In fact, I think they already written their ballots in. So they probably, they're gonna drag him in there.
But what's funny though, when you go back to that Patriots loss in that 07, the NFL's funny. They said in recent weeks that call when he threw the Hail Mary lucky pass, they should have called him. They should have ruled him down.
Right.
Now you say this years later, he should have been ruled down because
even the ref said so.
They had to stop. Right.
The ref that did it. The ref that was there, he said that later.
I don't understand. And then, first of all, he should have never made it there if Brett Favre does what he does best, master of interception, throws an interception. They get the ball and throws it to who? Corey Webster. Right in his hands.
Rule 7, Section 2, Part B of the NFL playbook says, for a dead ball, an official shall declare the ball dead and the down ended when a runner is held or otherwise restrained so that his forward progress ends. His forward progress is done. It was over.
Exactly. Richard Seymour had his hand on his on his shoulder. Yeah, he gripped him and had him stop for a minute. They threw him backwards.
He just threw up a lucky pass. It's not even that he knew where his receiver was going to be. He was just throwing the ball down the field because he didn't know what else to do.
I don't understand why would the Patriots go for cover 0 at that point of the game. They did a cover 0 blitz. And when you go back to that game, Junior Seau said he told Rodney Harrison. Well, Rodney Harrison said he told Junior Seau to check out of the play. He said, get out of the play. He said, no, we got it. He said, no. And what happened? He gets burned. He told him to check out of that cover 0.
Rodney was in position to make that play, and he didn't make the play. He was there.
And by the way, Manning was a downright passenger for that game. Like, he was terrible. He was not very good in that game. So, people have clouded memories for this game just because of that highlight. They think that he was passing like crazy.
That game was so similar to Montana's game against the Bengals, where the Bengals defense held Montana in check most of the game until the last drive when Montana went 92 yards and threw the touchdown pass to John Taylor. Eerily similarly, Brady drives the Patriots down, throws a slant pass to Randy Moss to put the Patriots up. Had the defense freaking done their job, everybody would be comparing that pass to Moss in the same light as Montana's pass to John Taylor.
Exactly. So
when is Jim Plunkett making the Hall of Fame?
Yes! The guy was terrible in New England.
I guess he has to change his name to Jim Manning.
So they're trying to give him credit for longevity, his Iron Man streak. That's great. That's awesome. When it comes to physical toughness, I'll give him. Eli is a tough dude. I've seen him take some awful hits, horrible hits.
Yeah.
And he gets back up and he's always playing again. And I'm not like you guys as far as personally. I don't have a problem with Eli.
Sure.
Like, I don't have anything against him. I like Eli. So, but to say my standards for the Hall of Fame are so high, it's almost unfair for a lot of these guys, to be honest. But that leads me to asking you this. Well, what about Ben and what about Phillip? They're in his draft class. Are they Hall of Famers?
Well, I'll jump in on that one quick. You made the point that in all reality, why do we give Manning the Super Bowl MVP award twice for a game where he was not the most valuable player? Well, similarly with Ben Roethlisberger. His 2 Super Bowl wins, he's not the MVP. His receivers are.
So who's the MVP of Super Bowl 42 and Super Bowl 46?
For 42, I would say David Tyree. The catch, plus he had the touchdown earlier in the game.
Anybody on the Giants defense. I mean, pick whoever you want. I mean, one of those. Michael Strahan or O.C. Manure, maybe.
Because without those guys, the front 4, that Davis causing most of the havoc, that front 4.
But you got to give it to one guy.
I'd say Michael Strahan.
Yeah,
that was the leader of that defense.
I think he has a better argument for Super Bowl 46. There's not anybody that jumps out to me that was the real MVP.
Yeah, I'm not sure who to give it to in 46 either. I mean,
but why wasn't Stephon Gilmore given the MVP last year? I love Edelman, but I'm just saying, I don't like.
Because he had a ton of catches. I don't think it's the player's fault in that case, though. I just think people are caught up in numbers and fantasy stats.
I know they are.
I think, and that's why I think that he got the MVP, because it was an eye-popping number, and so they were like, "Oh wow, 10 catches for 100. Oh, let's vote for him."
Gilmore, Gilmore made that game winnable.
I think Gilmore deserved it, and I think that Jason McCourty had a good argument too, because
he made that was an amazing play he made.
That breakup, and if he had another breakup,
that would have been a touchdown if he didn't make that play.
If I was Eli, I would have more. I would not want to rest on that. I would want to end my career with just a good season, maybe get a wild card spot or something, I would consider that to be a good way to go out. But the way it ended this year, that's embarrassing as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what he did before. The same exact reason I would say for Brady right now. Tom better sure as hell not retire. Not after the way it ended. Hell no. And Tom doesn't need to come back. His legacy solidified, right? But I'm asking.
I'm not sure if Eli is the competitor that Tom Brady is. I'm not sure he feels in that way. I mean, I'm sure every quarterback feels that way, but I'm not sure if he has the gumption in him to say, I don't want that. I think he's content.
I would come back to try to put together just a decent season. I'm not saying to get to the championship game, whatever. I'm talking about just a realistic good season, and then I can say goodbye. Wouldn't you want that?
But he's probably thinking, I've already reached my peak in a certain time, and now I'm on the decline, which is normal, with anybody. And the next the next step would be.
So you don't think? So you think that he thinks that he couldn't be good anywhere?
This is a really bad year to be a free agent quarterback because there's a couple others that are good quarterbacks that are in the same situation as you are. And Phillip Rivers is not going to go back to the Chargers, from what I understand. And Eli Manning is definitely not going to end his career with the Chargers. But the other thing with Eli is it's always been about the contract, the money.
I know. Peyton, too.
Who signs him? Like Shaq said, he doesn't have the competitive fire that Brady has, where he's going to go try to prove his worth by winning another championship. Eli's got 2 championships. He's proven that, but he's all about the contract, just like his brother. That's what they're concerned about as far as starting quarterback. Tom Brady's so rare in that he's so team first that his concern is not about the stats. He's legitimately concerned about making sure his team wins the championship. Whereas with Peyton Manning, he wanted that 55 touchdown pass season so he could get one up on Tom. He wanted that second championship to solidify his career, but he wanted that big contract. He was going to go to Denver because they were going to pay him. Eli doesn't have that option.
So you don't think that Eli Manning, he's already, the dude's made like $150 million, right, in his career, something like that, something ridiculous. Mm-hmm. You don't think that he would take 10 mil, 15 mil, the basic standard, whatever it is, and go play for a decent contender?
I don't think it's about the money that you have or even the money you get as a contract, but much as the respect you get for getting that contract.
But at this point,
for so many people,
you can't expect that, though.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I think because he knows he can't get that, it's better to retire.
Wow, I mean, I'm just so different. If that was me, I wouldn't care about that. But that's, of course.
I'm not sure, Aaron, that you're thinking in terms of what he like we both said, me and Jarrod. Tom Brady is, and I've said this on previous shows, he is not human. He is some other cyborg that no other human can even match. And so his competitive energies and his fire is unlike any other person can ever imagine to be. And so I don't think Eli can even come close to that. And so his 2 Super Bowls, they're against the Patriots. So as far as he's concerned and as far as anyone else is concerned, those might as well be worth 4 rings. It's because that's the Patriots that he beat. And again, the were undefeated Patriots. And then he beat them again. So as far as he's concerned, he probably could have left in 2011 and been like, I'm done. But the reason he stayed, all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah, and it's not about the money in your bank account as it is the respect that you get in the league for having that contract. When you look at everybody covering Tom Brady right now, they're covering it as if, well, Tom Brady is tired of taking these pay cuts, and Tom Brady wants the respect he deserves for being one of the top quarterbacks. No, he doesn't. Tom Brady wants to win another championship. He doesn't care about the contract. But every other player in the league, that's what drives them.
Okay, regarding Eli, though, I think that's utterly pathetic that he doesn't have that drive, that he doesn't want to prove himself. He doesn't want to end and say, look, I'm not going to be remembered like that. I think that's sad. No way in hell do I end it like this. No way. I wait and see if a team needs a quarterback, a good team, and has because there's always quarterback injuries. Look at the Steelers, okay? So perfect example. If let's say what happened this year didn't happen till next year, okay? Ben goes down in week 2, and Eli. That's a great opportunity. Eli goes to Pittsburgh and for a year, gets them to the playoffs, and then he can end it. Perfect. So if I was Eli, I would wait. I wouldn't announce my retirement right now. But like you guys said, he doesn't seem to have that in him.
Right.
I mean, right now I see him as a quitter. That's in my opinion. I see him like yes. Andrew Luck. He's a quitter. Okay.
Yeah. Part of it is like, look at how he got there. Compared to how Tom Brady got there. And you guys talked about it. He has the Manning name. So it's not like he really, really, really earned it. I mean, not to say that it's not good to be. Apparently, he has those achievements, Super Bowl rings, 2 MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs. But again, how to get there. So that speaks a little bit of his competitiveness. One can only assume is not as competitive and cares as much as someone like Tom Brady, who got there on his own.
Damn, I can't really argue with that at all, because if you listen to if you think about what she's saying, even when Eli was drafted, he was going number 1 and he didn't even care. I saw a documentary. He fell asleep on the bus. And Ben Roethlisberger and those guys are sitting behind him and they're making fun of him because he just didn't seem, he was so comfortable and you saw Ben's all awake and he's all excited like, oh man, we're getting drafted today. Hell yeah. And you could see the competitiveness in Ben, and it's just, he worked hard to get there. But Eli, it was just like, oh, well, I'm supposed to go number 1. That's just how it's supposed to be. Milena, I really can't defend Eli anymore after what you just said.
I'd gladly play in San Diego.
He's trying not to smile.
You got to look at this year, too. What was the thing that he did? He embraced the bench. He embraced it.
Yeah, who would do that? Who the fuck would embrace the bench? I'd be throwing a fit.
He was happy about it. He was smiling. And I mean, I've never seen a guy that you embrace the bench. And normally people fight, they bicker, destroy the locker room. Like, I'm not sitting on the bench. I'm better. He enjoyed it.
What did Drew do when he came back from injury and was told that Tom Brady still had it? Drew was fucking pissed. Okay? They interviewed him and he goes, I'll just put it this way. I look forward to the chance to be able to compete for my job again.
Drew was very upset about not being the starting quarterback.
Are you hurt, frustrated, or how do you feel?
Next question.
So he's smarting off. Okay, that was shots fired at Belichick right there. Drew was like, this is bullshit. This is my team. This is my organization. I'm the man here. Okay, Drew didn't like it. He's like, screw this.
I'll just put it this way. I look forward to the chance to compete for my job. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, but Eli is just like, Eli's just like,
yeah.
See, that's kind of been his personality all this time. That's kind of been his personality. Like, he's always an all shucks, gee, golly gee, I guess it'll happen. He's never been like that type of an outgoing, let's go. He's never been a Tom Brady type of, we're gonna do this, we're gonna win. Like, you never really see him like gather his team around and like get him pumped up for the game. Like, you never really see that. He's always been a lackadaisical.
Remember when they lost to Green Bay in that wild card game? That when you have the talent that the Giants, they did have talent that year. This guy didn't say anything. He should have been saying to him like, Brady, listen, no time for games. We need to be studying our opponents, because they had the better talent. But yet these guys are on the boat dancing, and he says nothing as the leader.
Eli knew that they were going on that boat thing. He knew that they were getting together to go. Why didn't he say, hey, where the fuck are you going? What do you think you're doing? Dude, if you walk out here and you go do that right now, then I'm not throwing you the ball, because I'll consider you not ready That's what Tom would do. Tom would say, I can't throw you the ball. I cannot trust you.
So, Aaron, I know you identify a little bit with Eli because, two older brothers, same age gap, but you want to go earn your reputation. You want to go out there and strive to be the best you can be. Eli wants it handed to him. And that's what drives me crazy about him. His whole life, everything has been handed to him. He is a prince of the NFL. He is royal family. He got to go where his dad was going to make sure he was in a good position to make sure he was a good brand and that he was in the best chance he could have. Nobody else gets that treatment except for John Elway, which I didn't mean to give John Elway a pass. It pisses me off too. I just don't see – he doesn't want to earn Peyton's approval. His whole life has been about annoying Peyton. The one thing he had on Peyton got taken away, so he's sitting in their press booth looking like, well, crap. Shit, I don't have anything now.
Okay, well, when I was referring to that, I was just defending him on a personal level with the draft. I don't think it was ever Eli's decision, okay? And I don't like that.
Saying. Even though it wasn't his decision, he knew that his dad was going to take care of him, and he was entitled to being in a position that his dad thought was best for him, not what every other player has to go through.
Yeah.
But if he was more like you, Aaron, then he would have been, maybe trying to get that approval. And
if he had my mindset, I think he'd have another Super Bowl right now. Come on, man. The players that he had, both times that they won the Super Bowl, they should have gone back to the playoffs after that.
Right.
Okay. I'll give Eli one pass. The year with Ben McAdoo. Ben McAdoo is a complete garbage coach. Complete trash. Absolute trash. But what about everything else? And Eli was already on this trajectory of decline that Milena was talking about. So, but what about all those years in between the two Super Bowls when he was in his prime or whatever, if he ever had? I don't think Eli, did he ever have a prime? Kurt Warner is in the Hall of Fame, deservedly so. But he had to wait. I know Kurt's only got one ring, but guess what Kurt has to go along with that? 2 MVPs. That means that for 2 years, he was the best quarterback on the planet. Eli can't say that. Phillip Rivers can't say that. Ben can't say that. If you play long enough, you're going to get yards. You're going to get touchdowns. But I need to know that you were better than everyone else. Were you the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks against your peers? And those guys can't say that. But Kurt can say that he did it twice. Tom did it 3 times. Peyton can say he did it 5 times. But what about those other guys? What do they have to show for it? It's emptiness. But in Eli's case, it's worse than all those other ones. He's not even close to ever being the best quarterback in the league. Was he ever a top 5 quarterback in any given year? I don't even think so. Was he
interceptions?
and to be a Hall of Famer, honestly, you have to be top 3 at least. Not even
I would think so. But see, the thing is I'm not sure Ben is a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure that Phillip Rivers is. I don't think so. Everyone's saying that he is, and everyone's saying like, oh, Ben's a Hall of Famer. Oh, Phillip's a Hall of Famer. Why? Why?
Well,
it's too easy to get into the Hall of Fame. I'm sick of it. It's too easy. Right. When you put Eli in the Hall of Fame and you make him a bust, he's in there right next to Joe Montana. Okay? And that is fucking bullshit. All right?
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. No. And then when you put Jimmy Johnson's bust in there, you're putting him next to Lombardi and Walsh and eventually Belichick? No. I'm sorry. No. Bill Cowher? Are you fucking kidding me? Bill Cowher?
Right. Yeah. So basically, Terrell Owens was right what he said. He said that the system is rigged because when you even his stats, it took long for him to get in, and he did produce on the field.
It's all politics, man. It's all politics and who you know, the babies you got to kiss, the autographs you got to sign. Oh, we'll talk about that in a little bit, I'm sure.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, Shaq. How come the scandal with the memorabilia? How come that didn't stick? If that was Brady, if that was Brady, oh my God, could you just?
Yeah. And again, this is where I go back to people calling him classy and all of this. He sold fake memorabilia. Fake. Why would you do something like that? And then you made the most money out of every NFL fan and then ripping them off?
That's
like But people accuse Tom Brady of doing this, saying that his TB12 method is fake, or it's snake oil salesman stuff.
Yeah, Max said that the other day. And by the way, I'm not going to let that slide. I'm not going to let that go. The other day, Max Kellerman said that Tom Brady is selling snake oil. Okay, and his guy is selling snake oil.
That's a line from Boston Sports Media, directly from Boston.
And guess what? I'm getting my brother. We're going to get together. I'm going to have him on.
Thank you.
And I'm going and because he is more qualified to answer for that than Max Kellerman ever fucking will be.
Well, maybe the Hall of Fame is what it's been named, Hall of Fame, for being famous versus Hall of Greatness.
It's well said.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for joining. Do you think that Eli should retire?
Yeah, he's had a good career. You know, he spent his whole career with one team. He's won 2 Super Bowls, and you know it's a bit harsh to say, but he's massively fallen off. So yeah, you know, he shouldn't keep going and ruin what legacy he has. I mean, he's a 500 quarterback. He's in his late 30s, so you know, it's not like if he continued to have pretty good production, he should. I mean, if he was still producing at a good level, I'd say crack on, Eli. Play as long as you want, and fundamentally, he can play as long as he wants. At the end of the day, it's up to him. But for me personally, I think his career is done.
Do you think that Eli Manning should be a Hall of Famer?
Do you want me to answer that myself, in my opinion, or what's going to happen?
Both.
Okay. He is going to be a Hall of Famer. Yes, that will happen. You know, he's seventh or eighth all time on passing yards. He's won 2 Super Bowls. And he's probably considered, I don't know, greatest quarterback in Giants history. So yes, he will be a Hall of Famer. Now, to my opinion, he has the criteria of what the Hall of Fame base their votes on. But me personally, no. No. Yes, he has. It's kind of a hard one. He has had a career of sustained production to a point. However, your Hall of Fame resume that I've seen from people, okay, they base it on off-field stuff as well now, as well as being, you know, just a good egg. So that's fine. Eli Manning comes across as a pretty good egg. But your Hall of Fame resume is built on your ability in the regular season to get you to the postseason to do something special. And yeah, Eli did do something special twice in the postseason. However, that was led by defense. He's had a couple of great plays in the playoffs. For me, there's never been a point in time when I can say Eli Manning is the best quarterback in the NFL. For me, if you're going to get in the Hall of Fame, you know, it should only be the very best players at their position at a given point in time. Eli Manning never achieved that. I can safely say, even, you know, in his best years, he was maybe in the top 5 of quarterbacks. He wasn't ever number 1, 2, or 3, probably.
Kurt Warner had to wait so long. Eli must be forced to wait at least as long as Kurt had to wait. All right, because Kurt Warner was the reason why his teams went to the Super Bowl. Kurt Warner was the reason why his team won the Super Bowl. He was the driving force. He was the reason. He took an Arizona Cardinals franchise that was just god awful. Everyone knows that historically just putrid, and he took them all the way to the Super Bowl, and they came this close to beating the Steelers in the Super Bowl. Right. Eli cannot hold Kurt Warner's left nut. So he better have to wait at least as long as Kurt, or man, my God, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, I think Eli Manning needs to wait as long as Kurt Warner, if not longer. But considering all the constant statement about the Mannings as their NFL royalty, that may de facto get him in first ballot anyway. So, and like quite a few of those sports writers are good friends of Archie Manning as well. So, I'd like to. Well, I mean, again, it's bordering on popularity contest. Because I mean, if you take the sports writer chap who introduced Dan Marino, he didn't even say anything about Dan Marino. He stood up and said, Dan Marino, the greatest thrower of the football ever, and sat down. That's it. That was his entire introduction for Dan Marino. And everyone went, yep, jacket. Can understand that. No one can do anything like that for Eli Manning.
Thank you so much for watching VonAllen Sports. We hope you like and share the video, and to make sure you don't miss a thing, click the subscribe button on the bell icon to be notified.
VonAllen Sports.